Enforcers butt heads with the Florida Sundogs. But could this be Posse and Suzanne Shaleem's last game on American soil?
The INS is now free to proceed with deportation.
Mark D'Amato has nearly completed his evil scheme.
Tonight is the night Posse goes home to Finland in a box.
It's all coming up next as the Florida Sundogs meet the New York Enforcers tonight on Roller Jam.
Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. This is the World Skating League. A tremendous matchup tonight as the New York Enforcers take the track to battle the Florida Sundogs. Welcome, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. I'm Ken Resnick, along with Lee Rareman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. For the New York Enforcers, it's the same story, game in and game out. They simply find a way to win. They like to keep it low scoring. They like a very physical battle. On the men's side, the 5-borough lineup will leave anyone laying on the track, and you will find no tougher group of women anywhere, Hawk, than the New York Enforcers, Sisters of Suffering.
Well, if the New York Enforcers are mean, then the Florida Sundogs are clean. And that's epitomized by Captain America, Bill Barker. Of course, we know Denise Loden of the Florida Sundog women can really mix it up. And now that we have a healthy Debbie Rice back, we are looking for that methodical play of the Florida Sundogs going against that low-scoring, pack them with a punch play of the New York Enforcers, Ken.
And, of course, New York Enforcer captain Mark D'Amato. We all know how diabolical he can be on the track, but even he has given us a new look, instigating these immigration charges. Hawk, it's entirely possible this could be Posse and Suzanne Shaleem's last game in the WSL.
Well, it's just a shocker to hear Mark D'Amato draping himself in the American flag, talking about his patriotic duty, but he's got a point. If these guys aren't properly documented, they may be out of the country.
And certainly Mark D'Amato will be targeting Posse and Suzanne Shaleem. The music means only one thing. The Florida Sundogs are about to enter Roller Jam Arena. Give the Sundogs a lot of credit. They are on a roll. They have really come together. Romance or not, they are certainly standing firmly behind Denise Loden.
Well, and Denise Loden has done a very smart thing, unlike Sean Atkinson, as this rumor has abounded in the World Skating League. He seems to be denying it, which gives it credence. She seems to be keeping her mouth shut. Good job.
Like their style or not, you've got to give credit where it's due. Every single time they step on the track, they seem to have a game plan. They are focused. Still, they know how to win. But Mark D'Amato skating out with the American flag, that is a stretch any way, shape, or form.
Well, they call him the 5-borough lineup. He seems to have taken the whole United States now as his adopted son, Tim Washington. He's not a pretty man himself. Don't tell him I said that. And, of course, Janet Abraham, the Sisters of Suffering. She's the ringleader, Ken.
You've got to wonder the state of mind of Posse and Suzanne Shaleem. Perhaps this may well be their last game. Now, starting for the Florida Sundogs will be Denise Loden, Lindsey Francis, Kathy Evangelo, Debbie Rice, and Suzanne Shaleem. For the New York Enforcers, Janet Abraham, Shelley Rossell, Linda Leisure, April Tootle, and Karen Magnuson. And there you see the start, the racehorse start as we begin every period here in the World Skating League. Shelley Rossell, as she has come to be known, takes the high end of the track, immediately cuts slow, and gets right out. Battling right now, that's Lindsey Francis and Kathy Evangelo. And also out a little surprise, April Tootle, someone we're not used to seeing jamming, something Mark D'Amato's pulled out of his bag of tricks.
Well, and April Tootle's out there. She's very big and physical, not usually seen as a jammer, Ken. Mark D'Amato, you're absolutely right. Maybe try to take advantage of what might be some turmoil for the Sundogs and changing things up a little bit.
Lindsey Francis goes down, and now so does Evangelo, and it's all New York Enforcers. Shelley Rossell in the lead, and April Tootle coming up on the rear. Tootle 5'7", 150. Shelley Rossell, Homestead, Florida, 5'5", 120. Now Andrea Franklin trying to set up a double block along with It looks like Debbie Rice. Debbie Rice uncharacteristically rotated to the back of the pack, trying to block out, and now Karen Magnuson breaks through, takes the double block. Roselle and Toodle each pick up 2 points very quickly. 4-0 New York Enforcers.
Well, and Mark D'Amato, like we said, sent April Toodle out on a jam, and you see some results of it here. It's going to be a game that the New York Enforcers like, if so far as any indication. And Karen Magnuson, we cannot say enough about her. She can jam right there. She had a blocker helmet on. These guys are getting it done early for the New York Enforcers, Ken.
And now we're underway. The Enforcers, they love a physical, slow, deliberate game. They like to keep the scoring low. And again, coming out now for the New York Enforcers, this is Heather Gunnan, and countering the Florida Sundogs come out with Debbie Rice, the two fastest skaters on the track. We have talked about it many times, the two fastest skaters in the league. They used to be roommates. They just plain don't like each other. And this is not only team-oriented, this jam is certainly personal. And Debbie Rice with the elbow sends Heather Gunnan down on the track. And now Rice weaves her way through. She is one of the best in the league at the razzle-dazzle. And that's exactly what she does. She goes by Roselle, goes by Toodle, goes by Linda Leisure. Debbie Rice with a phenomenal jam. Now saw Gunnan coming up and closing, cuts it off, but not before scoring 3 points and making this a 1-point game, Debbie Rice.
And Debbie Rice wanted to really come out today and show Heather Gunnan and the rest of the World Skating League that she still had it, Ken, after coming back from that injury. And she is really off to a good start here. We'll see how long she can keep it up. And we'll be right back right after this.
Brought to you by Sony.
Tighten up,
After 2 jams in the first period, the New York Enforcers lead this one by a 4-3. And now we've got a battle of the respective women captains. Denise Loden, number 32 for the Sundogs, and Karen Magnuson, number 34 for the New York Enforcers. Both captains, and interestingly enough, 2 of the most all-around skaters in the WSL. They can block, they can jam, and they both have good speed, and they both can be physical when it needs be. Magnuson now with the elbows, but unable to get Loden down. Now she takes a headlock, throws Loden head first into the rail. There is no question, Karen Magnuson has one of the deepest bag of dirty tricks in the league. And now you see a lift being set up by the New York Enforcer women. They really just drilled the entire Florida Sundog team. You see one of the Sundogs arguing with the referee about the illegal block. Denise Loden now tried for the elbow. Magnuson takes her down from behind. Deliberate pulls down, and Loden has had enough as she continues to hammer away on Denise Loden, but not before Magnuson scored 4 points for New York.
Well, and Karen Magnuson, you always call her the dirtiest player in the World Skating League. I think that she doesn't get her due many times because of Janet Abraham. You see her there, number 16. Of course, we all know about Mark D'Amato and the 5-borough lineup. But as Sean Atkinson looks on, he has to wonder how Karen Magnuson of the New York Enforcers just gets it done time and time again.
And now you see Kathy Evangelo reaching back and giving the whip. That looks like it is Debbie Rice coming around. Not that Rice needs any help. And again, being pursued so many times, a strategy here when either Gunnan or Rice puts on a jammer helmet, the other one immediately wants it. These two want to show each other up. There's absolutely no love lost. Right now it's Gunnan in the lead, courtesy of a very physical elbow. But Debbie Rice takes the inside of the track, a quick elbow, and regains the lead. And now Magnuson with an elbow, and finally Gunnan continues and just hammers away. One of the other Sundogs flies over the railing. Heather Gunnan now winding her way through the pack, picking up 3 more points for the New York Enforcers, and suddenly the Enforcers showing an uncharacteristic offensive output.
Well, we always showcase the speed of Debbie Rice, who went down right there, and of course Heather Gunnan, but we saw 2 jams ago, Debbie Rice lowered the boom on Heather Gunnan right there, a little quid pro quo. Heather Gunnan returned the favor, a little physical play to complement the speed, scores points, calls off the jam.
Florida had better be careful. The New York Enforcers could skate a low-scoring game better than any team in the WSL, and suddenly out to an 8-point lead is almost insurmountable. And now Shelley Roselle out jamming, and again it's Debbie Rice. Rice will be doing a Lou Gehrig type of iron horse work, jamming on every jam for the Sundogs, but Florida knows they can ill afford to allow New York to continue to build on this lead. You can see Rice laboring. She's got to be a little winded. Shelley Roselle is able to avoid the big elbow of Denise Loden. and quickly calls off the jam as she goes into the railing, but not before getting one more point. Suddenly the enforcers out 12-3. Unbelievable.
Well, and Debbie Rice has been called into some pretty serious duty here, Ken, as a jammer. We forget that she was just back 2 weeks ago or several weeks ago from some injury. If she has to keep this up and has to keep jamming like this, it's going to be a long day for her because she's going to get tired.
Well, she takes the whip rather, from her teammate, and she is still out jamming Debbie Rice. And now arrested Heather Gunner in pursuit, takes the inside of the track and regains the lead. Florida obviously knowing they have to get some offense generated, turning to their star, and now Gunnan slows her down. Rice doing a great job of staying on her balance, and now she also has to deal with Karen Magnuson. Not only is Rice tired, but she's outnumbered on this jam by a score of 2-1, and now they close on the pack, dropping back Denise Loden to try and help her teammate. Loden trying to deal with Karen Magnuson, and she does just that. Magnuson drops her, but Rice gets tangled up with Gunnan. Rice are first onto her feet, and we'll have to take a look, and they do. They count Debbie Rice with 3 points as she goes flying by and is able to get up and pass the other jammers, but credit the assist to Denise Loden, captain of the Sundogs, to pull the Sundogs within 6.
Rollover Rules brought to you by Dial 1-800-AT&T for collect calls.
I'm Sean Corbin, but you probably know me as that blind idiot. If you think my job is so easy, you try calling this jam. Sam and Micah Martin go out on the jam together, but Sam goes over the rail. He's still off the track when Micah comes back around. Finally, the jam ends when Mark Webber lays this hit into Bill Barker and Micah Martin falls off the jam. So how many points would you give the hot dice? If you said 2, you'd be wrong. Micah gets 1 point for passing Sam and another for passing Barker. But while Sam was off the track, Nevada's second jammer passed him too. That means there should be 3 points. I bet you didn't see the second jammer. Think of that the next time you call me blind.
With the New York Enforcers leading this one 12-6. We'll be right back. The Enforcers have doubled it up on the Florida Sundogs, leading this one by a score of 12-6. We're back at Roller Jam Arena. The men are on the track. It will be Mark D'Amato targeting Posse Chalene. If it's Chalene's possibly last game, guaranteed he'll be trying to make a statement. Starting for the Florida Sundogs, Sean Marshall, Captain America Bill Barker, David Gleddy, Jonathan Russell, and perhaps in his last game, Posse Chalene. For the New York Enforcers, the Bruise triplets, Brian Gamble, Tim Washington, Mark D'Amato, and also Dan Gavani. And now, despite the graphic, a last-minute substitution, Blaze Leon in the starting lineup, and Leon breaks very quickly to the inside and goes down and slows down his own teammate, Dan Gavani, allowing Posse Chalene a wide-open shot, along with number 11, Jonathan Russell for the Sundogs, and very quickly, Jonathan Russell goes down. Now it's Dan Gavani and Posse Chalene, elbow to elbow. Posse Chalene, the big elbow, the former hockey player, sends Gavani in the rail. Posse Chalene now with a great opportunity, and this one is the Sundogs need some points, trailing 12-6. You see the rotation, Mark D'Amato and Tim Washington both dropping back. Mark D'Amato attempting to block out the finished flash. Posse Chalene out of Helsinki, Finland. Remember, it's D'Amato that's trying in vain to get Posse Chalene deported. Now Tim Washington drops back to set up for the King Kong. D'Amato distracted, and Washington absolutely levels Posse Chalene. No points on this one. Posse Chalene down on the track.
Well, and look at the intensity in the face of Tim Washington, Ken. The evil empire was expression full right in the face of Tim Washington, and the King Kong is what has Tim Washington so pumped, and I don't blame you. He's pumped. Posse Chalene may be out, and we've got an interview with Big Tim Washington.
All right, I'm here with Tim Washington. Looks like you're following up on your threats that Posse's going to get so injured at your hands today he won't make it to the trial Monday.
That's right, baby. I see him coming in the back. I grab him. Bang! 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 He's done!
It certainly had to be a perfect New York-style jam, that first one of the second period. No points scored, keeping the scoring low and dropping one of the Sundogs into the track. It's exactly what they like. Now you see Captain America, Bill Barker, reaching back. He gives the whip to Sam the Flame Martin, being pursued by Blaze Leon. Leon, a last-minute addition, is certainly doing a great job of jamming here about both jams. And now the knee from Martin. Leon goes down. Martin very quick to his skates.
Well, and Mark D'Amato's always up to something. He's so crafty, but he's put Blaise Leon in here. The first jam, Blaise Leon tripped over his own skate. This jam, he got tangled up with Sam Martin. It's not working out well for the New York Enforcers, Blaise Leon being in there, Ken.
Now Mark D'Amato again. They try to block out Martin. This time, Martin's agility and speed. He goes by D'Amato. He goes by Washington. Now he's closing in Dan Gavani. And now he weaves around Blaise Leon. A great job by Sam the Flame Martin. Wide through again. Sam the Flame Martin razzle-dazzling his way through the pack and avoiding the physical punishment of both D'Amato and Tim Washington. What a job by Sam the Flame Martin, picking up 3 points and closing this one within 12-9.
And Sam Martin's one of those players that just seems to be able to get to these New York Enforcers, similar to a batter being able to hit a specific pitcher. But you saw Tim Washington really being able to take it to some of the Florida Sundogs. But Sam Martin all season, Ken, has been able to get around these New York Enforcer physical play with his speed and agility.
And now Florida's got to feel good, having some momentum, closing the gap. And it's Bill Barker battling it out. Finally, Dan Gavani is able to get by him. And now Posse Chalene comes up from behind. Posse Chalene has certainly been focused in the intensity level. He has cracked it up. He would like nothing better than to do some damage to Mark D'Amato and the Enforcer team, and he certainly slows Gavani down with a knee and an elbow. Now he turns around, focusing more on Gavani than trying to catch up to the pack. And Posse Chalene, there's the reason, that big elbow. The hockey player using everything in his bag of tricks. Now he closes in on the pack, and Tim Washington, and he goes right by Washington. The speed and agility. Now he has to deal with Mark D'Amato. D'Amato and Chalene going at it. There is no love lost between these two, and this is about what we come to expect.
Well, and Finland is hoping, or actually they don't want to get their newest citizen, Posse Chalene, back on their borders. And Mark D'Amato, you see the frustration in his face. He has made this a religious holy war with the Chalenes in the form of Posse and Suzanne. And Posse Chalene, Ken, you saw him turn around. He was coaxing Dan Gavani a little bit. He's showing some quickness and agility going around Tim Washington. He's taking this personal, as he should.
And Chalene picks up 1 point, and suddenly the Sundogs have closed within 2. It is 12-10. And now Sam the Flame Martin comes around. Martin, the fastest skater on the Florida Sundogs, without a doubt. A big opportunity, and so far, now one of the Enforcers gets out. That's number 12, Fred Eichhorn, breaking free, along with the other Sundog. We'll try and pick up the number. It looks like Tom Smith, and it is indeed Smith who uses the inside of the track to gain the momentum. 2 against 1. You've got Martin and Smith coming out, dealing with Fred Eichhorn, and doing a good job of keeping Eichhorn bottled up, almost a double block. Eichhorn goes low, comes high with the elbow, sets both the Sundogs down. Now he comes up with Captain America, Bill Barker. It's an opportunity for Fred Eichhorn as both the Sundogs are well behind. And now flies out over. Another Sundog goes down. And a third. Mark D'Amato absolutely cleaning house. Now you see Eichhorn finally cut off the jam, but not before picking up 2 points, putting New York back out in front by 4.
And Mark D'Amato, we've been mentioning so much his holy war and persecution of the Chalenes, trying to purge them, as he says, as part of his civic duty. Well, he did it off the track before the game. Right now, Ken, we saw him doing it, and he's even trying to get in the head of the referee, Sean Corbin. This fella, Mark D'Amato, the diabolical, the devious, the defiant, he may be going to the penalty box or perhaps off the track, but he always finds a way to win somehow, Ken.
D'Amato arguing with Sean Corbin. He may have had a point. I, for a minute, thought they had picked up a 3rd point. Corbin saying, I'm only giving you 2, and that's the end of it, and that's the way it stands. Referee's decision is final. Now it's John Morrissey and Tom Smith, a battle of unlucky 13s out on the track. John the Skull Morrissey, the first time we've seen him out jamming for the New York Enforcers. Tom Smith doing a very good job out of Syracuse, 5'6", 140. Smith has told me he always gets a little jacked up when he gets his chance to skate against his home team. And what a move by Morrissey. A lift by the New York Enforcers, and the clock ran out, so no points were scored. It looked like a golden opportunity for John Morrissey. A tough call for the New York Enforcers, but boy, they performed it to the perfect.
And the frustration by the New York Enforcers has to be building. 2 jams in a row, they've lost points, Ken. We'll see if they can get themselves straight after this.
It's the New York Enforcers 14, the Florida Sundogs 10. Welcome back, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. It's halftime. I'm Ken Resnick, along with Lee Rehrman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. The first half went exactly the way the Enforcers wanted it, exactly the way the Sundogs did not want it. New York was able to dictate the pace and style of the first half. Very slow, very physical, and most importantly for New York, very low scoring. That's what the Enforcers want. That's the way they win games in the WSL. And Hawk, in the first period on the women's side, it always seems to be when it's New York and Florida, it comes down to Heather Gunnan and Debbie Rice.
Well, it's like a broken record, and we talked about at the outset, mean versus clean. Well, Debbie Rice and Heather Gunnan, we cannot talk about the Enforcers and the Sundogs without talking about these two. But one bright spot for these Florida Sundogs, if she's clean, she was bringing a little mean right there, and you saw her skating, you saw her scoring points. Debbie Rice was the one bright spot for these Florida Sundogs in the first half, Ken.
And on the men's side, Buddy Atkinson Jr., no two skaters are more physical in the WSL than Mark D'Amato and Big Tim Washington. And boy, they combined to really level Posse Chalene. Take us through it if you would.
This was a bang-bang play. Let me tell you, DeMarco does a terrific job of keeping Posse out on this outside. Tim right here is setting up. And this is where the real beauty of this play develops. The push out, and look at this arm. Bang, grab, boom. He's out.
He's ouch.
And I'll tell you what, that was nasty.
Now, if you're Posse Chalene and the Sundogs, how do you get yourself mentally ready to face that kind of physical skating in the second half?
I think they throw too many odd and unusual looks. I don't think you can.
All right, we will find out indeed in the second half. Now, standing by in the infield is our Broadway Danny Wolf, along with Commissioner Jerry Seltzer and the attorney for Posse and Suzanne Chalene, William Schaefer. Danny?
Let me start with you, Commissioner Seltzer. We know Monday is the big trial at the circuit court. Howard Weinberg, honorable judge, will make a very important ruling, and it'll decide the future of Posse and Suzanne Chalene. Your feelings?
The league is fully behind Posse and Suzanne, but there's nothing else we can do right now. It's in the hands of the court, and we will abide by whatever they say. It's most unfortunate.
Okay, right now I want to turn to William Schaefer from the law firm I want to mention of Nash, Nelson, Schatz, and Ziskin. Right now, let me ask you about the trial Monday. What are your feelings? You seem very confident, but the Enforcers and Mark D'Amato know for a fact, they're so confident, they're going to be found guilty and deported.
Absolutely not. We are going to win. We have amassed the evidence now that's come forward that we feel very confident that we're going to prevail. It's just a shame, if not a crime, how D'Amato has used this system for evil purposes as opposed to good.
And very quickly to finish this off, Jerry Seltzer, I interviewed Mark D'Amato a few minutes ago. He said, Seltzer better stay out of my face. I'm not done with him yet. How do you address Mark D'Amato? Something's got to be done about this guy.
I won't talk directly to D'Amato, but the league and the organization is under my office, and he's going to have to abide by whatever happens, and he better understand that.
When Mark D'Amato first made his charges regarding the Chalenes, a lot of us didn't think very much of it, but it appears there is a lot more credibility to it than we first thought.
Well, we all know who Mark D'Amato is, but somebody we don't talk much about is Brian Gamble of the New York Enforcers.
The cornerstone of the New York Enforcers is their bruising five-borough lineup. In that lineup, Queens is represented by bad boy Brian Gamble, known for his hard-hitting style and his non-stop bravado. Enforcer fans might be surprised to learn that Gamble wasn't always comfortable on the mean streets of the Big Apple.
When I was a kid, I was getting beat. I was getting my ass beat, nearly every day in school, taking my lunch money, not eating. They're taking my books, throwing them in the sewers, but those days are gone. Now I don't take any crap from anybody.
The martial arts offered Gamble protection on the streets. With black belt skill in ninjutsu and aikido, Gamble offers expert pain to any jammer in his path.
There's no question Brian Gamble's philosophy fits very well indeed with the style of his New York Enforcer teammates. We'll be back with the second half. The women will be on the track right after this.
At www.
Making the right moves at the right time. Forbidden romance on the track. Oh, Denise, say it isn't so.
Of every skater and of any guy in the world, why Sean Atkinson?
Why not Sean Atkinson?
Beating the clock and rolling over the competition. If you're playing to win, you've got to have heart. The Quakes, ready to roll. The Sundogs, in control. Roller Jam.
Saturday at 5
on TNN.
At the start of the second half, the Enforcers lead this one by a score of 14-10. You see the racehorse start, and right away it's Lindsey Francis and Kathy Evangelo breaking quickly for the Florida Sundogs. But here comes Heather Gunnan. You see the taper on Gunnan's hamstring. There is no question she does not have the normal speed, and a great opportunity for the Sundogs now, who sometimes just can't stay with Heather Gunnan. But this is Lindsey Francis and Heather Gunnan. But Gunnan is still fast, hamstring or not, uses an elbow, slows Lindsey Francis, and now Gunnan very much in the lead quickly, closing on the remainder of the pack. And now rotating back for the Florida Sundogs, that is Denise Loden, and it is Karen Magnuson back to help her opponent. You see Magnuson take Loden down with a headlock. And again, now Andrea Franklin tries to pin Bowman high, and she goes right by. And very quickly, Heather Gunnan is able to put points on the board, 2 more points for the speedster, and it is 16-10 New York.
And I have to question, Ken, the absence of Debbie Rice here at the beginning of the third period. You have to think, we talked earlier about how she might be getting tired. Debbie Rice just back fresh off that injury. She may be getting tired, or she may have re-injured herself. It's really going to be hard for anybody of these Florida Sundogs to keep up with Heather Gunnan.
Certainly the Florida Sundogs cannot afford to let New York get too big a lead, because no one is better in the WSL in going into a defensive shell kind of game than the Enforcers. Andrea Franklin now out jamming for Florida, and this is Bo Bowman coming out for the New York Enforcers. Florida skating 1 woman short, as it is a 5-4 advantage on the track for the Enforcers. But Andrea Franklin doing a great job of keeping Bo Bowman behind her and not letting Bowman catch up, get by her, get to the pack to try and put any more points on the board for the New York Enforcers. Now Bowman goes low, takes the shorter track and regains an advantage. Andrea Franklin returns the favor.
Well, Andrea Franklin and Bo Bowman are two we don't usually see out there, and the submarine backfires as Janet Abraham takes out her own player, Edie Bo Bowman, Ken.
And great move again by Andrea Franklin, putting 1 point on the board for the Florida Sundogs. And now Janet Abraham, you see the frustration as she takes Andrea Franklin, throws her over the railing. It was a couple of games back that Franklin premiered that submarine, and this time she goes right under Janet Abraham again. Bowman runs into her own opponent. You saw the frustration come out on Janet Abraham, but a great bit of strategy by Andrea Franklin, seizing a golden opportunity to put a point on the board. As they come around now, this is Shelley Rossell for the New York Enforcers, pursuing Lindsey Francis. We're seeing a lot more jamming from Lindsey Francis. And Hawk, perhaps you may be right. Debbie Rice might not quite have all her stamina back.
Well, and Heather Gunnan doesn't seem to be out there 2 jams in a row, Ken. It looks like both these teams may be hurting a little bit. We saw the re-wrapped hamstring of Heather Gunnan for the New York Enforcers, the absence of Debbie Rice. A lot of people may be hurting here, both for the Florida Sundogs and the New York Enforcers.
And now you see Shelley Rossell going by, pulling Lindsey Francis down, slowing her down. Francis slow and getting up. She may have hurt or twisted her knee. Shelley Rossell up very quickly. Looks back, sees nobody behind her, realizes she's got some time. And now evidently we have run out of time in the jam, so no points scored. But that's what the Enforcers like, keeping low scoring.
Well, Shelley Rossell right here, this is standard Sister of Suffering play. Goes right after Lindsey Francis, throws her helmet off, even arguing with the referee a little bit. These Sisters of Suffering, as well as the 5-borough lineup, that you're absolutely right, Ken. This is a New York Enforcer type game.
And now Denise Loden reaches back and gives a whip once again to Andrea Franklin, out jamming. Franklin 2 jams ago picked up a point on Janet Abraham, something we don't see too often in the WSL. Franklin, the lead jammer, and this is Kathy Evangelo, who gets sent into the railing courtesy of Karen Magnuson. So it's Andrea Franklin and Karen Magnuson as they come around. Magnuson sends Franklin down to the track. Magnuson, although doesn't have the size you'd expect, plays very, very physical. Number 34 for the Enforcers, 5'6", 130 pounds. You see her raise her arms now. Denise Loden calling her up. Loden back, and she labels Karen Magnuson. Remember, those two had a set too early in the game, and Loden just smiles after having no trouble dropping Magnuson. Magnuson gets to her feet, comes around, and Loden is going to try and do it again, and this time she uses a knee and drops Magnuson again. Denise Loden with a big grin. She's as happy as a kid stepping into Saturday morning.
Well, and Ken, this is standard World Skating League play at its best. You saw Karen Magnuson come around, celebrate a little bit as she was approaching the back of the pack. Then you saw Denise Loden not about to be outdone celebrating. And Ken, they're not done yet. They're going after each other. As Sean Atkinson looks off, we don't know what the status of the relationship is with him and one of the girls involved in that fight, Denise Loden of the Florida Sundogs. But Karen Magnuson and Denise Loden are really getting it done for their respective teams out here, Ken.
I'll tell you, the Florida Sundog women doing a great job defensively. This is 3 straight jams now. They have shut out the New York Enforcers. The only problem is they've only put 1 point on the board themselves. Now Debbie Rice back, and this should be a very rested Debbie Rice being pursued by Shelly Rossell. You saw Rochelle try and grab the hair. Rice alertly ducked down, knowing exactly what Rossell is capable of. And here comes Denise Loden wearing a jammer helmet. We haven't seen Loden jamming much this period, but the Sundogs, knowing they need some scoring, are turning to their 2 go-to skaters, Debbie Rice and Denise Loden. Shelly Rossell trying to do a yeoman's job of dealing with a 2-on-1 advantage the Sundogs have in jamming. As we come up under 15 seconds, Loden is able to drop Rochelle. Now it's Debbie Rice and Denise Loden as they come around. They both go by April Tootle. That's 2 points. 2 more points apiece as they go by Linda Leisure. They've picked up 4 points as we're beginning to run out. The stiff arm by Janet Abraham does a good job of keeping Loden from getting any more, but 4 points for the Sundogs, and it's a 1-point game.
And what a great strategy by the Florida Sundogs, Ken. If you remember the 1972 Miami Dolphin backfield of Larry Zonka and Jim Kick, I believe, you see Denise Loden is like Larry Zonka going through, making blocks. Jim Kick follows up, scores points. You have the speed of Debbie Rice, the power and strength of Denise Loden, getting it done for the Florida Sundogs.
It's the New York Enforcers 16, the Florida Sundogs 15. And in that third period, Andrea Franklin talked about by watching the film how she had found a weakness in Janet Abraham's style, Buddy Atkinson, and it worked to perfection.
It sure did. Abraham's got set up real heavy duty here. Looked like it's going to be a hit. And what happens is this little lady does a little sneaky deal. Watch this. Yep, and bang, out goes the other gal. And I'll tell you what, Abraham was mad after that.
And there you see Sean Atkinson and Denise Loden. Sean Atkinson trying to counsel her. Denise Loden seeing the camera moving it away. I'm beginning to think there may be something to this romance rumor. And now breaking out for the Enforcers, it's number 13. That is John the Skull Morrissey coming out. And along with number 11, Jonathan Russell for the Florida Sundogs as they come around, and down goes Russell. John the Skull Morrissey, 5'7", 145 out of Elizabeth, New Jersey. Doesn't have much to say. He epitomizes letting his actions on the track do his talking. In fact, Morrissey little if ever even says a word. Now Tim Washington drops back, tries to break the double block by Bill Barker and Sean Marshall. Something you don't see every day. Washington having no luck. Now a whip from Morrissey. It gives Tim Washington the momentum he needs to propel John the Skull Morrissey through. And Morrissey is able to pick up 2 points. And now Morrissey goes up against the rail.
Well, and John Morrissey is only effective here, Ken, because of Tim Washington and the blocking ability of Tim Washington. First, you see Sean Morrissey giving a kind of veiled attempt, a half-hearted attempt at trying to whip Tim Washington, but you see Tim Washington break up the double block. John Morrissey scores the points. That is definitely synergistic. 2 parts equal better and more multiplicative as a whole. You like synergistic, don't you?
Actually, I was more impressed with multiplicative. At any rate, it is 18-14, the Enforcers and the Florida Sundogs. I had the opportunity before the game to talk to Denise Loden and Andrea Franklin, and they said they felt the only way they could beat New York was to be very defensive, and the Sundog women certainly did in the third period, shutting New York out in 4 out of the 5 jams, but the men are going to have to pick up not only defensive play, but put some points on the board as Dan Gavani comes around. And now back to block out is Brian Gamble as he hammers away on Tom Smith. Gavani doing a good job of the same. And again, the New York Enforcers playing very, very physical, but the Sundog, as Sam Martin flies over the railing, now it's up to Tom Smith as they come around, and you see Gavani finally cut off the jam, but not before Sam the Flame Martin and Tom Smith combined to pick up 3 points and tie this game all up at 18 apiece.
And Posse Chalene, you see the frustration in his face as he and Brian Gamble were tangling a little bit over on the far corner of the track. And you have to wonder how Posse Chalene can make it through the game with all the emotional turmoil of the immigration issue hanging over his head. But these Florida Sundogs, Ken, we've seen time and time again, a lot of times against these New York Enforcers, they run out of gas because of physical play just like this. But right now they're hanging tough, and if they're going to win, they have to keep it up here in the closing minutes.
Well, certainly the New York Enforcers are no stranger to close games. How many times have we seen them go in to the last jam or two of a game trailing and somehow snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? And now it's Cavani breaking out along with John the Skull Morrissey. Morrissey goes down courtesy of the elbow, and it's Cavani and Posse Chalene. Chalene, the Finnish star, well known for his hockey style of skating, and he does the same. A knee sends Cavani into the rail. Now it's all up to Posse Chalene. We're all tied up at 18 as we are midway through this fourth period. A great one here in the WSL between the New York Enforcers and the Florida Sundogs. Now Chalene closing. You see the rotation. Mark D'Amato and Tim Washington. Washington drops all the way back, tries to set up Chalene. There's the eliminator. Didn't quite work. Posse Chalene able to bypass part of the skates, but nonetheless, Chalene picks up the point when he passed D'Amato. 1 point for the Dogs.
And Mark D'Amato, adding insult to injury, gets in the face of Posse Chalene's wife, Suzanne Chalene. The expression on Suzanne Chalene is one of horror as their attorney Schaefer looks on with the commish, Jerry Seltzer. I tell you what, Ken, things are getting ugly for the Chalenes. They're getting ugly here at the World Skating League as Suzanne Chalene goes and checks on her husband Posse. And there's the culprit, Mark D'Amato, the diabolical, the ugly Mark D'Amato. We'll be right back after this.
We're back, everyone, midway in the fourth period, and suddenly the Florida Sundogs have taken the lead by a score of 19-18. But Hawk, talk about a hard-earned point by Posse Chalene. Ouch.
Well, we've talked about the matchup between Posse Chalene and Mark D'Amato. Well, Posse Chalene saw the eliminator firsthand, and he earned the points, but I tell you what, he may have won a battle, but can he win the war with punishment like that?
As I said, Denise Loden and Andrea Franklin said they were going to take a page out of the Enforcers handbook, try and go into a defensive game as best they could. In the third period, they shut out the Enforcers 4 out of the 5 jams, and now the men are returning the favor. The Sundogs have shut out the Enforcers in 2 straight jams. This is Blaise Leon for the New York Enforcers and Sam the Flame Martin, and down goes Blaise Leon. A great opportunity for Sam the Flame Martin. You see the rotation, Mark D'Amato dropping back, and D'Amato is able to avoid the block of Captain America, Bill Barker, but at the same time, now Tim Washington grabs a hold of Sam Martin and Tom Smith, and they break away. D'Amato again not allowing Sam the Flame Martin to get by. Barker back up on his skates trying to block out D'Amato, and he goes high, attempts Brian Gamble over the rail, and remember, Sam Martin has now passed Gamble. He did Blaise Leon as a jammer. That one doesn't count. But a great jam going here for Sam the Flame Martin. He's already got a couple as they come around. D'Amato tried to hook him in a headlock and missed, and Bill Barker, Captain America, returns the favor. But Sam the Flame Martin picks up 2 big points and pushes the Sundogs out in front 21-18.
And this Florida Sundog jam was a carbon copy of what we saw the New York Enforcers do a couple of jams ago. We saw Sam the Flame Martin scoring because Bill Barker, Captain America, was doing great blocking for him. We saw John Morrissey, the Skull, and Tim Washington do it for the Enforcers. The Florida Sundogs got it done there. We're in for a barn burner, Ken.
Perhaps the Sundogs have found the key to beating the Enforcers. This is 3 straight jams they have shut New York out on, and this is 7 of the last 8 jams combined that the Enforcers have been unable to score against this Sundog defensive shell. Now coming out for Florida, this is number 13, Tom Smith, being pursued by Fred Eichhorn. Eichhorn jammed early on. We haven't seen him with a striped helmet since, but the big elbow slows down Smith, and now Blaise Leon is out to deal with Tom Smith, and a good opportunity for Eichhorn to close on the pack. The Enforcers certainly need some points, trailing in this one by 3. Now Eichhorn comes up, and so does Blaise Leon. You see Tom Smith down on the side of the track, and now one of the other Sundogs goes down. And very quickly, Fred Eichhorn cuts off the jam, but not before he picks up 2 big points for the New York Enforcers, as does his fellow jammer, so the Enforcers score 4 points and very quickly regain the lead 22-21.
And this is standard Enforcer play. Ken, we talked earlier, I mentioned about the Sundogs periodically running out of horses against these New York Enforcers. Well, right there you saw it. Number 13, Tom Smith went down. Sam the Flame Martin went down. They're getting tired here late in the game, and the New York Enforcers were able to score points.
Remember, don't worry about the period clock. In the WSL, the final jam of a game will run its full 60 seconds. So, in a sense, there's still 50 seconds to go. Now coming out for the Enforcers, it's Fred Eichhorn, and he sails over the rail. Posse Chalene, this could be his last game. A golden opportunity. They trail it by 1. What an opportunity for Posse Chalene to put his forever stamp on the Florida Sundogs by helping them to defeat the premier team of the World Skating League, the New York Enforcers. And now it's a lift by the entire Sundog team. Posse Chalene goes by everybody, shoves D'Amato into the rail, and cuts off the jam. Posse Chalene scores 5 points to give the Sundogs the win, 26-22.
And you saw Posse Chalene. I think he's got a lot of pent-up animosity toward this guy, to say the least. You saw Mark D'Amato go after Suzanne Chalene no less than 5 minutes ago. Well, he scores points. He has gotten the best of Mark D'Amato in this battle, Ken, as does Posse Chalene of the Florida Sundogs.
Well, there is no question the Sundogs win the game. Posse Chalene is able to eke out some retribution on Mark D'Amato. His immigration status still up in the air. We'll have to wait and find out. But now, standing by trackside is our Broadway Danny Wolf.
Denise Loden, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you very much. It feels great to be on top again.
Well, before we get to the Posse and Suzanne situation, you had a secret admirer in the second row today. Did you know that Sean Atkinson was watching you from the crowd? I think he was watching you.
No, I didn't notice that. I know all our fans are sitting out there, and I like to just look over every once in a while, give them the high sign. Love them being here. I want them to keep coming, so you got to acknowledge them, you know.
Sean, or the fans you want to keep coming here?
The fans. I didn't know Sean was out there.
All right, now, I want to also talk about Posse and Suzanne Chalene. The celebration may only last about 72 hours because the court hearing in front of the circuit court in Howard Weinberg is Monday. Might be a short-lived celebration.
You know, our attorney is on top of everything. The papers are all...
Your interview is over, sweetheart. Your interview's over. My turn now. I got something to say. This means war. You understand me? This Posse Chalene and this Suzanne Chalene are not only gone from this country, I'm sending them back to Helsinki in a box.
What a poor sport you were, D'Amato, attacking Posse when the game was over.
Take the money that he spends on American flags that he buys and buy some new skates.
All right, well, you guys can settle this in a minute behind me. I don't want to get involved. Let's go back to Hawk and Ken.
Whether or not this was Posse and Suzanne Chalene's last game in the WSL, we don't know, but we do know, Hawk, Posse Chalene put his stamp on this one.
Well, I'm telling you, Posse Chalene must have been listening to me last time I spoke, because I asked if he was going to have enough left to get it done for his teammates. Posse Chalene came to play today, scored the points when they needed it. Big thumbs up for Posse Chalene and the Florida Sundogs.
For all of us here at Roller Jam, I'm Ken Resick saying you have a great week. We'll see you again next time. So long, everybody.